The Sinclair brothers present the best of 2020 films.
Hi, I'm Evan Sinclair.
And I'm Ryan Sinclair.
2020 was a really rough year for movies. Theaters were closed. A lot of films were delayed until 2021, but that didn't stop a lot of great releases from coming out this year.
So we've each picked out our favorite movies of 2020 for you. Some were mutual and some were individual.
We're really excited to share our picks with you, but first we just wanted to mention that we were unable to see Gunda or Nomadland. We felt that they could have made our lists. They look really good, but we just aren't able to see them until they get wider distribution.
And so with those recognized, let's get right into our best of the year picks.
Heck yeah.
We'll start with our picks that didn't make it onto each other's lists. For me, that was Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Come on!
Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is a film adaptation of the 1982 August Wilson play of the same name. It follows a 1927 blues recording session in which the conversations between bandmates and the interactions between white studio executives and black talent highlight racial tensions and conflicting egos, offering several perspectives on the exploitation and commodification of black art and how individuals deal with the oppressive systems around them.
My only film pick that didn't make Ryan's list this year was Feels Good Man.
It's a happy little frog. We like drinking and hanging out. It became boys' club.
It's one of the funniest comics of the last 10 years.
Feels good, man.
That was the frame that started it all.
The white supremacist movement has taken over Pepe the Frog.
Feels Good Man is a documentary about how 4chan adopted and essentially rewrote the character Pepe the Frog from Matt Fury's comic Boys Club, and how through 4chan's successful attempt at trolling Donald Trump into office, Pepe became entangled into the rise of the alt-right movement and was recognized as a hate symbol. I love Boys Club and have been seeing the radicalization of poor Pepe for years, so this film really grabbed my attention, and honestly, I think does a really good job at kind of chronicling the rise of Donald Trump in America, and I could see it being used as an educational tool in the future.
The first of our mutual picks is Kelly Reichardt's newest film, First Cow.
We got a window here, Cookie.
History isn't here yet. It's coming, but maybe this time we can take it on our own terms.
First Cow tells the story of two struggling men named Cookie and Lou in 1820s America who unite to steal milk from a rich man's cow to bake and sell biscuits.
It's a bleak and quietly intense movie taking place at the forefront of American westward expansion. I love the tone of this movie and how it explores camaraderie and economic struggle in a very fresh spin on the Western genre.
I agree. And I think it's really interesting how those themes of camaraderie and economic struggle feel even relevant today, despite it being set in the 1820s. I also wanted to bring up how heartfelt it is. The bond between Cookie and Lou was the real heart and soul of this movie, as far as I'm concerned. Their partners in crime duo relationship was just awesome to watch on screen. Mm-hmm. And Cookie and the cow.
Yes.
Cookie and the cow as well.
That was beautiful.
It was awesome. He loved that cow.
He really did. Our next mutual pick was Charlie Kaufman's newest film, I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
We're stationary, and time passes through us, blowing like cold wind. Maybe this is how it was always going to end.
On a very surface level, I'm Thinking of Ending Things is about a young woman who is thinking of ending things with her boyfriend Jake while on their trip to meet his parents. But this is a Charlie Kaufman film, and things are never as simple as the surface level description could ever suggest.
The film is filled with surrealism and symbolism from start to finish, and it isn't even always chronological. The leading young woman is even referred to by many names throughout the film, and it serves this bleary and uncertain tone that is just fantastic.
This is one of Kaufman's hardest films to understand, in my opinion, but the emotional response I got out of this film was one of the strongest emotional responses I got out of any film of 2020, and I am sure with repeat viewings throughout the years, I'm going to have new and solidified interpretations.
I love how Kaufman seamlessly blends themes of individuality, art, decay, time. It's just as confusing as this movie becomes. The underlying idea of being endlessly lost in attempts to distance yourself from a relationship is strong and impactful.
Before we share each of our number one favorite films of the year, we just wanted to bring up some honorable mentions.
And those are American Utopia, Possessor, and Borat 2.
American Utopia undeniably has amazing choreography and performances. It was the set list that bothered Ryan and I a little bit. It is made up of nearly 50% Talking Head songs. And after David Byrne has been so outwardly spoken about not wanting to bring the Talking Heads back because they're a thing of the past, only to go on this Broadway stage and play all these Talking Head songs, just felt really hypocritical and egotistical to us, and we just couldn't fully enjoy it because of that. We know he brings it up in the movie as part of the performance, but it wasn't enough to kind of get that taste out of our mouth.
Our next honorable mention, Possessor, is from Brandon Cronenberg, a very grisly and exciting watch with a unique idea and some gorgeous cinematography. We enjoyed a lot about how this movie depicted the more abstract ideas and things happening within characters' minds, but overall it wasn't the cleanest movie. The flow of it was a little janky, and it didn't quite make the cut.
Our third and final honorable mention was Borat 2. It was hilarious, relevant, and surprisingly heartwarming with the relationship between him and his daughter. We just didn't like it as much as the first one or as much as the other films on our list. Speaking of which, it is time for our number one films of 2020.
Yeah. Quick disclaimer, each of our favorite films made it onto each other's best of list, but they weren't each other's number ones. With that said, my favorite movie this year was Sound of Metal, directed by Darius Martyr and starring Riz Ahmed. As a drummer with mild tinnitus, this movie was terrifying and heartbreaking and just a complete emotional roller coaster. Riz Ahmed gives his best performance yet, in my opinion, portraying Ruben, a metal drummer who must come to terms with his sudden loss of hearing and all of the personal and social changes that come with that, showing in detail Ruben's slow and painful process of coming to terms with the situation through all the denial and trauma of having to reset his life, unable to return to his art or reconnect to people from his past. Truly a devastating movie that is brilliantly made and just overall a triumph.
Yeah, I'm not a musician, but as a music lover, it really was one of the most heartbreaking concepts I can imagine. Like Ryan said, Riz Ahmed was incredible in the story, felt really honest of what it was like to be going through that situation. But I can't say I liked it enough to call it my number one, because my number one favorite movie of the year was Another Round from Thomas Vinterberg. Another Round is about a group of Danish high school teachers who test a wild theory that humans are born with a 0.05% alcohol blood volume deficiency by going into school and maintaining that 0.05% to see if it makes them better teachers. It is a downward spiral of humor and sadness that does not shy away from the gray areas, like the positive effects that alcohol can have that make it so tempting. All the performances are really strong, especially Mads Mikkelsen, who just plays a pathetic teacher at risk of losing his job and starting to see the positive effects of this experiment. I really love this movie, and if you have any interest in fun little social experiment films, you definitely have to see this one.
I also really liked Another Round, and the way the whole movie unfolded. It almost had me fooled at the beginning that it was pro-alcohol, but it proved to be a heartfelt cautionary tale of allowing your vices to spiral out of control at the expense of your well-being and the well-being of those around you.
I also just wanted to mention that I really loved the use of white text on black screens in this film. I really like white text on black screens. And that concludes our favorite films of 2020 video.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Your support keeps us going.
Absolutely. And while those were our favorite films of 2020, we would love to know what yours are too, so be sure to let us know in the comments.
Definitely.
All right. Well, hey, see you on the next one, everyone.
Take us away, Gilbert.
Hi, this is Gilbert Gottfried. See? So look, can you just subscribe? Just subscribe. They're really... I've met Evan and Ryan, and they're really sad. So subscribe.